Yeah, that looks cute. Ooh, it's a cute angle. We'll shoot from this angle. We'll shoot from this angle. All right. In the 90s and 80s, I would have made it big with this voice. I'm pretty sure I would have been able to feature one of those R&B songs, and you guys would not even know that it's a hun. You guys would be all turned on and everything, not even knowing that Kimugel. But we move. Guys, I'm elated. Hey, like, I'm so elated. It's been a long time coming. I'm so excited to finally speak to you guys on this platform. Open book with Bahumi. Like, how cool does that sound? I actually wish it was shorter. Like, sometimes I wish I had like a one syllable name, because open book with star. No. Sorry to all the stars out there, it doesn't sound as cool as Bahumi. But I really wish I had like a shorter name. But hey, we'll go with it. Right now we can just call it open book with Bahumi. Point is, it's my name. Alright, so I speak really, really fast. I will try to speak a little slower for those of you guys who are listening audibly, because obviously you guys can't see me articulate my words. I'm actually excited to have a platform where I can actually just speak my mind and say the things that I want to say, when I want to say them, how I want to say them. Obviously, with a thought process, having undergone a thought process, but I want to say it's very rare that I get to do that, even though I know I can do that on social media. But to do that on a platform that is purely just speaking and, doesn't have filters involved, doesn't have just any other filler that will just distract from my voice. That sounds narcissistic, as if like I love the sound of my own voice. Though it's not a lie, I actually do like the sound of my own voice. There was a time that I didn't. I really do like the sound of my own voice, but more so because, I just know that I have a lot to say, and I know that this show will have a lot to say, whether it's me, whether it's the people that I bring on, just whatever. It's called open book for a reason. I'm just going to be so fluid on the show, and so myself, and so unreserved. Generally, especially, when I had thought of doing a YouTube channel, I tried to make sure that, like, it's as perfect as possible, or as filtered as possible. I'd cut some things, and just cut out a lot of ums and ahs and whatever. And even though I'm going to try not to do a lot of ums and ahs, I really don't want to cut anything out from this podcast. Like, I want it to be as casual as possible, as raw as possible, so that you guys can actually get the raw and authentic me. I feel like every time I talk about myself, it's so narcissistic, but that's actually why I have this show, because I feel like we are so afraid of saying a lot of things because we have like a lot of reservations. One of them being, we're afraid of being narcissists. One of them being we're afraid of being know-it-alls. The other is, maybe we're afraid of judgment, or, there's a bunch of reasons. But the main reason why I created the show, which is actually what I want to jump into first, I really wanted a space where people could just speak freely and just purely be themselves. And I know we say that a lot because we really want to create that space for everyone. I know a lot of people create things like safe spaces, and we try our hardest to make these safe spaces, and we say it's a no judgment zone or judgment free zone. But to be honest, I don't even think that safe spaces exist. Right? I don't think that you can have an opinion, or have a stance on something and be 100% safe in the environment you're in, especially if you're around a group of people who you may not know. We can try to create one. We can, maybe us in our personal capacity can say that we don't judge people, but there will at least be 3 out of 5 people. That's a very vague statistic that I just made up in my mind. But there'll at least be about 3 out of 5 people, who will judge you just by virtue of you having an opinion, because there's no way that you're going to be in a group of people and you all think the same way, especially if it's a foreign group. And by foreign, I mean, foreign to your general social group or whatever. The moment you put yourself out there, the moment you put your opinion out there, your opinion is likely to be judged. So is it really safe, right? But my desire to create a safe space isn't necessarily to say that I want a safe space in the world, because like I said, that doesn't exist. That's just my opinion. It was me trying to create a safe space for myself, where I know that I'm in a space where, well, firstly, it's just me and a camera right now. There's no director telling me what to do. There's no audience telling me what to do. And there's literally nobody telling me what to say but God, period. I think that's the only person's judgment I'll actually listen to. And of course, if he says other people, but you get my point. I'm trying not to get too theological about that. It's actually why I saw it fit to be the first person to speak to you guys without any guests, because I'm like, I want to set the tone for what Open Book is about to be first before I bring anybody else into this space, so that when they do come into this space, they understand that it genuinely is a free zone. Maybe not a safe zone, because again, we may challenge each other's opinions if need be, but it's a free zone where you are free to say what you want to say. Quite interestingly, and I know a lot of people will be like, I'm so glad you didn't do that, but I promise you I was going to pull you in any case. Open Book wasn't actually supposed to be about people, and by people I mean like guests coming over, or even me just like, sharing my general opinion. It was actually supposed to be quite literal. Open book, like literally opening up a book, right? I know a lot of you guys who are not bookworms, or who literally just hate books. I was that like 2 years ago. Were already just cringing and like, oh my goodness, I hope you don't do that, or I'm glad you did not do that. Trust me, child. If I suggest a book to you, you're going to love it. You're going to love it, and you're going to love how I deliver it, because I'm an interesting person. I'm an interesting person. But it's so funny, whenever you praise yourself, you literally feel like you feel so obnoxious, but it's okay for other people to praise you. What nonsensicalness is that? Tech. So it initially was supposed to be a podcast based on literature. So I was going to think of, or in fact, I already had so many books in mind that I was like, people are going to love these books. They're super, super interesting. And I want to unpack them. I think that they're so fire. And for me, it wasn't just the book, because like I said, look, if I'm being honest, well, I do like reading. I don't like reading boring books. And I know I say that very carefully, because I don't think anyone or anything is boring really, but I think it's the writing structure that just loses me. Like sometimes some books are written like textbooks, and like, are you trying to take me back to school, bro? Like, I wasn't listening at school. What makes you think I'm going to listen to a self-help book that sounds like a freaking, like, just step by step? I don't know. It's just, I don't know, like some self-help books just sound like dates to me, and I'm just like, now I must remember all those dates. It's just too much. It just feels like algebra. They read like algebra, and I'm just like, no, I can't. This is not for me. But I had come across quite a number of books in the past couple of years, and it was actually by coincidence really that I came across a book that had such a beautiful writing structure and reading structure. It literally felt like it was written by a female, Sarah Jakes Roberts, and it was called Lost and Found. And honey, Miguel was out here talking like Reduti, just sipping wine together. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful read. And then from that point onwards, I think my next book was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. And comedy of notes, like kareke mametse abu abu. So it was these interesting books that I found, and I was like, man, you actually learn so much more, not just about the people, but about life, from reading about the things than about, than watching them. And I mean, I'm a filmmaker. I love films, and so I'd prefer the movie than the book. But when I read the books, I was like, actually, I see what these bookworms are saying when they say, Twilight was better in the book than it was in the movie. I've never read Twilight, but I get their point. The book has so much more depth, and you really will learn. You force yourself to unpack yourself when you read. Actually, I think that's the best way to explain it. So I really wanted to, I guess, convince people to come over to the other side, to the fun side of reading. But then I thought, okay, maybe we can add snippets of that. But I think the most important thing is for people to unpack themselves, because what was not a lightning bulb. Those are two things. I don't know. I want to say lightning bolt and a light bulb, but what was a light bulb moment for me was realizing that these books were written by people themselves. So why don't we actually have people come and open up here on this platform? And then of course we'll unpack certain books. Maybe we'll unpack a topic in a book or whatever it is. Maybe that's how we'll pull you non-bookworms in, and just be like, okay, maybe I'll give this book a chance because it sounds pretty interesting. And coming from someone who was once reserved, or let me say, I don't even think I was reserved, to be honest. I think I was just so afraid that I created reservations. Um, I genuinely know that I have a lot to say. And I think it would be such a shame, not to say that I'm like an expert on anything, but I think it would be such a shame to possibly have something that could interest someone or help someone, as corny as that may sound, and, not share it, not say it. You literally could be holding the world's greatest answers, but you're shutting up about it. Or, you're keeping it inside because of what? Because of fear. Like, what nonsense is that? Which actually brings me to my quote. In open book, like I said, I want to actually open up books. So whether it's someone's mind and the chapters that are in their minds, physically when they come and visit me, and visit us. Let me say that. Let me not leave you guys out. Or open up literal literature. We're gonna have a segment, a very quick one, generally at the end of the show, where we just unpack a quote and see where that takes us. Quite briefly though, at the end of the show, which brings me to the end of the show. So here's the quote of the episode. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. I thought that was so freaking dark, but when I first read it, I was just like, that is the most powerful thing ever. That is Bible. And here's the catch. It's literally in the Bible. For me, my favorite book of all time literally is the Bible. And I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, but I'm not Christian. Okay, doesn't mean there's no lessons in here. Just chill. I found this quote so fitting for the first episode of Open Book, not because it has much to do with Open Book per se, but the purpose of this quote was a huge driving force for the creation of Open Book itself. This quote talks about how meaningless life is. And the actual word that was used in the original translation translated to smoke, vapor. This is why it's long as dinner, because your guys' words are just so limiting. Like, how do you link meaningless with vapor? Like, please make it make sense, Macho. No shade. But Lord help me. But essentially, this quote talks about how much like vapor life is, right? It's like smoke. One moment you see it and the moment it's gone. And so with things constantly changing, I think it's very hard for people to realize the true meaning of life as a whole. And even harder, perhaps, to know the true meaning of your personal life. But one thing's for sure, and this is a pattern that I've seen, the more knowledge you consume, the closer you are to reaching your purpose. But how can you consume that knowledge if you don't have a hunger for it? And how can you show that hunger if you don't ask questions? And most importantly, what's the point of asking those questions if you don't have access to those answers? Because those answers are those nuggets of knowledge, but no one is willing to speak up about anything. And no one is even willing to explain anything these days. These days, everyone's ridiculing everyone, judging everyone, canceling everyone, and that's why everyone is just so afraid to say anything, to ask anything over vapor. Like, it's so crazy how we get our minds worked up about what are people going to say, or just so afraid to learn more about ourselves and reach our purposes because we are afraid of what people are going to think about us. Yet the ideas that these people have are based on vapor. They're literally based on something that can change from one thing to another. We're either all going to die one day or the world's going to rapture. So do you really want to shut up over vapor? Do you really want to get to the end of your life and be like, damn it, I should have been more myself? I don't even know if that's proper English, but I should have said something. And let me be careful about this. This isn't to say that you must just vomit out whatever comes to your mind very flippantly or disrespectfully without a care about how it's going to affect the other person. But it's to say you have so much in your mind. You have so much potential in your mind. And you know that there are things that you have thought out, true convictions in you. If it's something that's a real conviction and you're like, this is actually something that has to be said, that's something that you probably thought out time and time again, or something that you know will definitely help somebody out. Is it really worth shutting up about because of vapor? Because we are Saba? Like, because of something that's literally like people's opinions are going to change like within a split second. By tomorrow, look at us. Like one moment we were freaking out about COVID. Now we're literally just chilling. I can cough in your face and you'll be okay with it. I won't. But that's my point. It's just like we're literally just like kicking it and we're like, oh well, it is what it is. It's life. Things change. People change. Do you really want to shut up over vapor? That's it for Open Book. See you guys in the next episode. Who knows what we're going to talk about next? Next chapter. Here we go.